How's it going? Okay, so first of all, 20,000 subscribers? Really, 20,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. That's so crazy to me. 6 months ago, I was wondering if I was ever gonna get to 1,000. And to think that I'm at 20,000 today is just, so thank you very much. So I get a lot of comments on my videos, often from people who are a few decades older than me, and they're very well-intentioned comments, and they say things like, oh, you're so smart, oh, you're so bright for your age, I wish I knew that when I was your age, where did you learn all this stuff? Like, well-intentioned things. And to be honest with you, I have had people say things like that to me in real life for a very long time, and I just don't see it. I just don't think that I'm particularly smart or bright or accomplished. I think I'm a pretty average person. And being an average person means that I often do some pretty dumb things. I make some pretty dumb decisions sometimes. I wish I could say that wasn't the case, but realistically, it just is. I think that people on the internet, on YouTube, on social media overall, really like to try to bolster their own egos and try to pretend that they have done everything perfect and that everything in their lives is wonderful. And the truth is that that's just not the case. Not for me, and I don't really believe that it is for anybody. And so this video, I'm gonna roast myself. This is gonna be a brutally honest critique of some of the worst decisions I've ever made, specifically where my finances are related, because the truth is that as much as I may have made some good decisions in life and I may have accomplished some things, I have had no shortage of mistakes and bad judgment calls. I'm about to get pretty candid here, pretty raw, really just very honest about some of the worst financial mistakes I've ever made in my life. Some of them are very large and some of them are quite small but represent something larger. And yeah, I'm gonna spill the tea here, so no pun intended, but grab yourself a drink, grab yourself a coffee, a tea, whatever, and get ready to enjoy my misery, because here we go. Alright, so we are gonna start off with a doozy here. Might as well just rip the bandage off and get the biggest one out of the way first. The biggest financial mistake I have ever made in my entire life was buying this house. Buying a house is probably the most expensive purchase you will ever make in your life. It is the most complicated, it is the most stressful. If everything goes well, it can be probably the best decision you've ever made, but the opposite also applies. If you haven't been following this channel for long, I'll give you a quick synopsis, but I would encourage you to kind of go back into some of my older videos to get a little bit more context. But basically the long and short of the story was this. In 2019, I was 26 years old, I was living at home still, I had saved up a hefty down payment and decided that instead of being a normal person and renting an apartment, I wanted to move out and buy my own house. And at that time, it's not to say that housing wasn't expensive here, because in Southern Ontario it pretty much always has been, but this was before things went too crazy, and I was able to buy myself a very cute, very small little townhouse that was honestly perfect for me in a lot of ways. And I moved into that townhouse, I lived there for 2.5 or 3 years, and though I liked it a lot, there were certain things that annoyed me about it, and I got a little bit too ahead of myself and decided that I wanted to upgrade and I wanted to get a fully detached real house, whatever that's supposed to mean. During the time that I'd been living there, the value of the property had gone up significantly, and I guess I got a little bit arrogant or a little bit cocky, and I decided like, oh, I'm gonna sell my house for top dollar, I'm gonna get a detached house, the difference in price is gonna be minimal, everything's gonna be great, I'm gonna buy a house, I'm gonna renovate it, I'm gonna make it into my dream house, make it what I want it to be, and live happily ever after, riding off into the sunset. And needless to say, things did not go according to plan. I wound up purchasing this house at the very peak of the market, and I bought this one before I sold my previous one, and that is something I typically never would have done, but given the state of the market, like I said, I got a little arrogant and I was like, oh, my house is gonna sell, it's gonna be fine.
It was at this moment that she knew. She fucked up.
And so I bought this house in March of last year and listed my townhouse just a few days later, and that happened to be the same week that Russia invaded Ukraine and the interest rates started to go up, and basically all sorts of shit hit the fan all at once, and the housing market started to plummet and everybody started to panic.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening! Everybody stay calm!
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
And my house didn't sell for several weeks, and in the midst of that whole thing, I wound up having to fire my real estate agent and start again, and basically everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Eventually my house did sell, but it sold for quite a bit less than I had expected and quite a bit less than I actually needed to be able to reasonably afford this house. And the worst part was not only did I buy this house prior to selling my other one and putting myself in financial limbo that way, but I was being so arrogant and so flippant that I was like, oh, I'm gonna come into this deal with all this extra money, it's gonna be great, I don't really care what this house even looks like right now because I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna gut it. And I was talking all of this big game, and so when I came to see this house, as stupid as this sounds, and I can't make it sound any less stupid than it is, I didn't even really closely look at this house. I didn't really care about the condition. I didn't really care about the layout because I was like, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna rip it apart and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. But I didn't even really look closely at the house because in my head, I knew what I was gonna make it look like. And so what it looked like at that time was completely irrelevant to me. And that was a very big mistake. I overlooked a lot of things that I realized after the fact that I did not like about this house. Some strange things in the layout. I overlooked the fact that it was filthy dirty, that things were not very good condition. And then when the housing market dropped and my house sold for less than I needed it to, I came into this deal with a much larger mortgage than I had anticipated, meaning that my monthly expenses were much higher than I was expecting and that I was comfortable with. It meant that I had no money left over for renovations. It meant that I was in way over my head and stuck in a house that was dirty and stinky and that I really wasn't comfortable in and didn't like and didn't want. I made the worst kind of impulsive purchase anybody could ever make. You hear about people like impulse buying silly things, but I impulse bought a house. Doesn't make any sense, I know. The whole situation was so incredibly stressful that it led to me having a full-on nervous breakdown, which I haven't really spoken about in depth on this channel before. I mean, I've made mention of it, but I don't really think I went into details about the severity of it. I'm not sure if that's something you guys want to know about, but you know, maybe one day I will be open to talking about it if that's something that you're actually interested in and you want to hear about. Leave me a comment below and let me know. It's a little bit of a touchy thing for me still. So basically the situation concluded with me having to move into this house that I didn't like and didn't want, being forced out of the home where I was comfortable because I was stupid and made a stupid decision. I moved into this house taking on a larger mortgage payment than I had anticipated and that I was comfortable with, and at the same time, as everybody has experienced, the cost of everything else went up so much higher as well, like gas and groceries. Levi got sick around the same time, which meant I was then hit with all these vet bills I hadn't anticipated, and basically my cost of living, my basic bills, have just ballooned in the year that I've been here. Not only that, but the condition that I moved into this house in was, to me, something I couldn't live with. It was grungy, it was dirty, I was so uncomfortable, and beyond my own comfort level, I knew that if I eventually wanted to sell this house, nobody was going to be stupid enough to buy it in the condition that I bought it in. So renovating it had to happen, and I didn't have the money for it. So I had to take on more debt to be able to renovate the house, which I'm now paying down, and that's the first time I've ever had any sort of debt other than my mortgage itself. Oh, and of course I should mention that in the time between me signing the papers and actually moving into this house, the market value of it dropped by about 20%, so that was just adding insult to injury, meaning that even if I wanted to just get out, wasn't really that simple. If you're gonna buy a house, take this lesson from me and don't do what I did. Don't buy a house without selling your previous one. Don't impulsively buy something that you don't like thinking, oh, it's okay, I'll fix it up later. Take your time when you look at it, like actually do a proper tour, maybe see it 2 or 3 times, get an inspection, get a financing condition, just basically do everything that I did in complete reverse and you'll probably be just fine. But let's move on. Another financial decision that I regret, which is thankfully nowhere near as big as the house, is my couch. This couch I bought when I moved into my first house, and I had no money at that point. I was totally broke, and I was also completely inexperienced with buying furniture. I didn't actually know what a couch was supposed to cost. I knew that there were some that were very expensive, but I didn't know what like an average price for a couch was. I had no idea. And I had very little money to my name, and so I bought this couch off of a wholesaler. I bought it brand new, and it cost me $400. And to me, that was like as much as I could afford, and it was a modern look, and I liked the color of it, and I thought, okay, great, it will be fine. And to be honest with you, it is an absolute turd. It has never been comfortable, and within 6 months of owning it, it started to fall apart. You can see it's got like a permanent ass groove, and the cushions are coming loose on it, and it's pilling, and it's just like, it's garbage. If I had bought a quality couch, now 3 or 4 years later, it would still be in great shape. In truth, $400 is not the end of the world, but this couch was a very important lesson in what is known as buy once, cry once. Meaning that, you know, if you only have to pay for something one time, you only have to feel that sting of spending the money the one time. But if you cheap out and you buy something that you know is going to need to be replaced a little bit down the line, you're going to have to keep spending money and keep spending money and keep spending money. And ultimately, this couch is now worthless. But now I'm basically having to pay twice because I made a cheap decision, even though it was really all I could do at the time. I don't know what the solution is, but definitely I think there are certain things that are worth saving up for and getting better quality, because at the end of the day, buying multiple times is just a waste of money. There's like some woman pulled up outside of my house, parked across from me on the side where you're not supposed to park, and she's eyeballing me, and she keeps turning her car around and she's eyeballing me. What do you want, bitch? Now she's pulling onto my driveway. Do I have Amazon parcels that she plans to steal? I don't know what her deal is. I'm so confused right now. She's looking out my door and she walked away and went back in her car. Alright, terrible financial decision number 3 that I made was not wearing my retainer when I was a teenager. When I was in high school, I got braces, and my teeth were all screwed up, and I had braces put on, and they were all better when it was done.
Honey, you look fine.
And I was given a retainer that I was supposed to wear for I don't know how long afterwards. I was pretty diligent about it for a few months, and then I remember specifically getting a cold or a flu or something, and I was very congested, and I felt really terrible. And so I stopped wearing the retainer when I was sick, and then I just really never put it in again after that. It was something that I never wanted to wear in public, and I did wear it overnight, but then yeah, once I got sick, I stopped. And I thought it would be fine because I have permanent retainers, like I have wires there and up there cemented in. But needless to say, they were insufficient, and my teeth, especially on the top, have since shifted. And so my teeth are not like horribly crooked, but they're definitely not that straight. See, like, I don't know, a little crooked there and there. But yeah, I do retrospectively regret not wearing my retainer because now I kind of want to get Invisalign, and it's really expensive, and I don't know if I'm going to get it. Invisalign, if you're watching this and you want to sponsor me, call me. But on a serious note, yeah, I mean, if I had just worn my retainer as I was supposed to, my teeth would still be straight and everything would be great.
You rhyme like Snoopy Dog.
But the fact that I didn't wear it means that the money that my parents spent on my braces is kind of wasted, and now if I want to get my teeth fixed, it's going to cost me a bunch of money out of pocket that I don't really want to spend on that. I wish I had worn my retainer, but yeah, just take care of your body and do what your doctor tells you to do what your orthodontist tells you to do, because otherwise it's going to cost you more than it needs to. Number 4 on my list of terrible financial decisions that I have made, actually, I want to show you something. I'll be right back. My 4th financial regret is this purse. I think I talked about this in a very old video, but I will discuss it again because I do think it pertains to this video quite a bit. This is a Coach purse that I paid $250 for this thing. Here's the deal. It's nice, I like it. It's not that I couldn't afford it when I bought it, but that I bought it under the wrong circumstances. I bought it for the wrong reasons. If you're looking at this purse and you're looking at me right now, you might be thinking, as Sesame Street says, one of these things is not like the other. And the fact is that it's just really not my style. It's just not me. I bought this purse after having kind of what I would call like a Mean Girls experience, where basically I was like in my early 20s and I had some girls be kind of like saucy and sarcastic and snarky and rude to me because I didn't have like a designer handbag like everybody else did.
She doesn't even go here.
And the truth is that I've always kind of had a bit of like a minimalist thing where even before I knew that term, I just never really felt the need to carry a bunch of stuff around with me. But after feeling kind of belittled by a group of people whose opinions I didn't even value, I went out and I impulsively bought this purse for $250 that I really didn't want to buy, didn't really feel like I needed. I used it for a few years and I've held on to it because I do still use it from time to time. If I have to go somewhere where I have to wear like nice formal clothing and I'm not in jeans and I don't have pockets and that kind of stuff, I will still use it. So, I mean, I guess it's fine. I don't terribly regret it, but the idea behind why I bought it is something that I do regret. And it just represents the idea of like buying something to try to fit into a certain group or trying to appeal to somebody else's idea of who you should be and what you should be like. And it's something that I do regret. I kind of allowed myself to be bullied into buying it so that people wouldn't make assumptions about me that were untrue, or that they wouldn't associate me with things they didn't want to be associated with. And yeah, don't do that. And finally, item number 5 on the list of my worst financial decisions is again a small one, but something that represents something larger, and it is these jeans. These are a pair of nudie black skinny jeans, and I actually really like nudie jeans. In fact, what I'm wearing right now, I don't know if you can see that, these are nudie jeans. So nudie is a pretty expensive designer brand of jeans. Like these jeans retail for about $200+, and personally that is not something I would spend on a pair of jeans, or at least I never thought that I would. But every once in a while you can find them on Amazon for quite a bit less. Link in the description below for where I got these ones. They're super comfortable, they fit me really well, they're good quality, they're ethically made, they check all of the boxes, and when I can find them for cheap on Amazon, I'm always happy to scoop up a pair. And so I decided that I wanted a pair of like dark black nudie jeans, because these ones that I'm wearing right now, here I'll stand up here and show you. These are kind of like a dark gray or like a soft black, whatever you want to call it. And I wanted a pair that were like black. So I found these ones online on Amazon. And if you've ever ordered clothing on Amazon, you know that the prices can fluctuate wildly based on the sizes or the colors. There's really no consistency to it and it's pretty weird. But the ones that I'm wearing right now fit me perfectly and they are a size 28. And I found these black jeans, these dark black ones on Amazon, and the size 28 were like $170. The size 27 were like 60 bucks. And I was like, oh, like 27 should be fine. I'm not gonna spend an extra $100 to get 1 extra inch of fabric. That's stupid. It's like 1 extra inch doesn't make that much of a difference, right?
That's what she said.
Well, it turns out I was wrong, because these light black ones that I'm wearing, which are a 28, they actually are a stretch jean. They have like 2 or 3% elastane in them, so they have some give, and they're actually a little bit on the larger side, and they may have been okay in the 27. But these ones are 100% cotton, and they have no give and no stretch, and they're just small enough that they are brutally uncomfortable. Like they cut into my stomach, they cut into my hips, and I basically can't wear them. I've worn them a few times, but they're really, really uncomfortable. And so as much as I would feel that spending $200 on a pair of jeans is a waste of money, I can't argue with the fact that spending $60 on a pair of jeans that I can't even wear is a much bigger waste of money. Like I would have been better off paying the full price and just getting something that I can actually make use of. To make matters worse, I would think, okay, well, let's just sell these ones. But on one of the very few occasions that I did manage to squeeze into them, I got into a bit of an accident where I fell down, went boom, cut up my whole side, and tore a hole in the pocket here. So I'm not sure, it's very minor damage, but I'm not sure if anybody's gonna wanna buy a pair of ripped, used jeans. So basically these are a waste. I've held on to them hoping that maybe one day I can, I don't know, fit into them if I have another nervous breakdown and lose a bunch of weight again. That's not really the goal, but yeah, it's just, again, another experience of buy once, cry once. If I had just kind of sprung for the size that I actually needed, they would have fit me, they would have been fine, and even if they were a little bit overpriced, I would have gotten my value out of them, I would have gotten my money's worth. But because I was cheap, I basically just wound up wasting money and getting a product that I can't really even use. So if you take anything at all away from this video, I hope that it's that everybody makes mistakes. I'm absolutely not immune to that. Being on the internet does not mean that my life is perfect. To all of those lovely people who make those very nice comments and say that I'm smart or whatever, I beg to differ. Even if I am, I don't know, but that certainly doesn't mean that I'm not capable of making bad decisions, because at the end of the day, clearly I am very capable of making bad decisions. I'm human. For most of these things, I would actually go as far as to say that they served as good life lessons for me. The house one, ooh, I'm still not so sure about that. That's still, I mean, I've definitely learned a lot in that process. I learned what not to do, but that's still a sore spot, and it's gonna be for a long time still. But now that I've spilled all my guts in this video, that I've aired out all my dirty laundry, that I've divulged all of my deepest embarrassments and worst decisions, help me out here. Let me know that I'm not alone. Leave me a comment down below and let me know what the worst financial decision is that you've ever made. And I would love to know that I'm not the only one who makes bad calls sometimes. Also, this coming week, I will be filming a Q&A in celebration of hitting 20,000 subscribers. Again, thank you guys so much for subscribing and hanging out and being here. If you have any questions that you would like me to answer in that upcoming video, drop them in the comment section down below and I will try to answer as many of them as I possibly can. If you enjoyed this video, if watching me publicly humiliate myself made you feel better about yourself, please go ahead, hit that like button. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't done so yet. It costs you nothing and it really does help out the channel. Follow me on Instagram. You can also check me out on Patreon for more exclusive content. Other than that, thank you guys so much as always for watching. Take care and I will see you next week. My God, have I ever done some dumb shit, huh?